Afternoon, and welcome to Learn Getting Started with Nearpod. We're so happy that you're joining us. My name is Dana Rubenstein. I am an Educational Technology Specialist for the EdTech Department, and today we have a special guest who's going to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I'm a District Strategy Consultant with Nearpod.
Thank you. We're so excited that Emily's joining us today. Before we get started, we just have some housekeeping things to remind you of. This webinar is being recorded on YouTube Live, so you can watch this right after we're done. It'll be posted on our YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to down below. This will also be posted on our EdTech training website, which is edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. I will show you at the end of the presentation, we have a whole page dedicated to Nearpod, where you will find the recorded webinar along with many other resources that you'll find extremely helpful. There's also about a 20-second gap between what Emily and I are saying and what you are hearing on YouTube Live. So to help with that, if you have any questions, please add them to the chat. And you'll notice that there are people with a wrench next to their name. And those are our moderators that will help answer any of your questions as we're going through the presentation. Today, we're going to be learning about Nearpod. Nearpod has offered free access to all of our Palm Beach teachers through the end of the school year, which will be June 30th, 2020. And we're so grateful to Nearpod for that. Nearpod offers this wonderful engagement platform for K through 12 students. It is an interactive application where teachers can have teacher-paced lessons along with student-paced lessons. It encourages collaboration, and Emily is going to be showing you all the different elements that you can add to your Nearpod lessons. Today's agenda will include how to access your account, how to search for pre-created lessons in the lesson library. Nearpod has over 7,000 pre-created lessons that I think you're really going to love, including virtual field trips, which are so wonderful as we're doing our distance learning right now. Emily is also going to show you how to edit and add interactive components to the existing Nearpod lessons and how you can create your own aspects as well. How to assign those student-paced lessons or perhaps a teacher-paced lesson. She'll show you how you can see the results and, most importantly, strategies of how you can use Nearpod in your distance learning environment. So before we hop into going live, it's very important that we understand how to access Nearpod. So to begin, we're going to go to the district portal. And when you go to the portal, the easiest thing to do is in the search, go ahead and type in Nearpod. And when you do that, you're going to see the Nearpod tile. You can right click on that if you'd like to add that to your favorites. And once you click on Nearpod, you will be logged in and able to follow along. Now that we know how to log in, it's very important to remind you that each time you use Nearpod, make sure you log into the portal, because Nearpod has upgraded all of our teachers to district users, which means that you have extra resources that are available to you. Keep in mind that Nearpod does have a free version, and after this wonderful period of time that we have access to Nearpod, the functionality will change depending on the level of Nearpod that you currently have, which at the moment is a district user. So we're very excited about that. In a moment, we're going to go live with Emily, and she's going to show us how to use Nearpod. And she's going to be doing some lessons with you. So if you have your phone or a second device nearby, have that handy, because she's going to be giving you a code to get started. And Emily, to you now. Let's learn how to use Nearpod.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dana. And we're so excited that all Palm Beach teachers will be able to utilize Nearpod for the distance learning. So go ahead. Again, the best way to join is just by grabbing your phone that is probably right next to you and just go to join.nearpod.com on your favorite browser. You don't even need to download the app, and enter in the code you see provided. It is JILCP, and they'll definitely put that in the chat. It is across the board here. And once you enter in that code, you'll see your name. And then you'll have to enter in your name and then click join session, and you will be in the session. So go ahead, again, go to join.nearpod.com and go ahead and enter in the code that you see. And we will get started in just a second. Just want to make sure everyone gets in. If you do not have your phone handy, you can join from the device you are joining this YouTube Live on, but make sure you, one, do not close YouTube Live, and you will want to see my projected screen as well as participate in the Nearpod lesson at the same time. We definitely have some directions in the chat, so if you are coming in a little late, they can definitely help you there, but I'm going to go ahead and get started just for sake of time here, because I have a small window of time with you, and I can't wait to share the magic of Nearpod with you. So we're going to just talk about an introduction to Nearpod. We're going to participate in a Nearpod lesson and see the power that it'll bring you. So it looks like we have 23 people in our session, which is awesome. Feel free, if you just joined in, you can join at any time. I just wanted to say welcome, and welcome to the Nearpod family. We're so glad that you're able to utilize Nearpod for distance learning. My name is Emily, and I'm a district strategy consultant with Nearpod. This is my Twitter. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you're more than welcome to. My email address as well. What I'm going to have you do first is take notes, but I promise it's not as strenuous as you might think. So what you're going to do on your device where you joined the Nearpod lesson is on the right-hand side, you can click on the little notepad and the pen, or the black arrow, and you're going to click send via email. So you're going to send your notes to your email. That way you're going to get each slide in this presentation along with any resources that I have. So PDFs, website links, step-by-step guides, videos, all of that will be in your notes. In addition, for those people who are watching the recording, I will provide you a student-paced lesson at the end, so you will have access to all of this at the end of the presentation, be able to go through that lesson at any time. And if you're joining live, you can also, of course, grab that student pace code as well to be able to utilize Nearpod at any time. So I just wanted to start you off with this quick little quote. Great learning is driven by great teaching, regardless of the method of delivery. So I know with distance learning, everyone is learning something new. So keep in mind that we are still able to deliver great teaching, and I know all of you are already. So we're going to talk about what Nearpod is, launching Nearpod in 2 ways, all the features that Nearpod has to offer, and just keep in mind that it's just the beginning. So we at Nearpod definitely want to support you. So just keep that in mind, that obviously this is going to be a short session today just to give an introduction about Nearpod, and we're going to be able to continue to support you. I have plenty of resources in here, and the Nearpod team is here to support you through whatever you may need. So go ahead and share what best describes your familiarity with Nearpod. Wow, there's so many people who have used Nearpod before. That is so great to hear. There's a lot of people who have also heard of Nearpod, but not really sure what it is. Some people who don't know what Nearpod is at all, but they wanted to join and learn more, and welcome. A few people who have heard of Nearpod and they think they understand what it is. Awesome. Well, we welcome all of you, and I hope that the people who've used Nearpod before will learn something new from today's presentation, and that anyone who is joining that's new is really excited to learn something new. So I'm going to go ahead and share out the results with you. And so on your screen, you actually see the results of the class, because this is a poll question. You can see kind of where everyone falls in our session today. So what is Nearpod? So Nearpod is a presentation tool to make teaching and learning more interactive. So you can easily download and customize ready-to-teach lessons. You can also create interactive lessons in minutes. You are also able to collect comprehensive student assessments, and we'll see that live in a little bit, and enable 100% student participation, which is my favorite piece. So a lot of different ways that you can use Nearpod. So when we talk about using Nearpod for virtual learning, I have 3 little tips for you. So some people choose to upload things like PowerPoints, Google Slides, things you've already been using before distance learning happened, upload those into Nearpod, and then added interactive activities to make your PowerPoint come alive. And we're going to see a couple of samples of that in a little bit. And then also enhance what you've already been doing. So what I've noticed a lot of teachers are doing, which is fantastic, is they're giving students a lot of different resources from different sites. But in Nearpod, you can actually add everything that you're using in one place. So you can add any of those websites, anything that you're already using, into one experience for students. And we even integrate with Google Classroom, so you can put your Nearpod lesson on Google Classroom and then have everything in your Nearpod lesson. But we also have over 7,500 pre-made standards aligned lessons that you can just grab and go. So you can either create your own content, or you can just use content that we've created, and you can also customize that. So that means you can edit the lesson, you can delete slides, you can add your own slides, and really make that your own, because you know your students best. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into the Nearpod experience. So as we explore, think about the interactive activities and how they engage students in their learning. So first things first, we're going to go on a field trip. Okay, so we're going to go visit a Polynesian beach. And as we're there, think about, how do you feel as you look around? So this is our Nearpod virtual reality that Dana was talking about earlier. So on your device, you can either click and drag using your mouse or trackpad, or if you're on your phone, you can even move your phone. And as you move your phone, it will kind of move with you, the image. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. This is a partnership with 360 Cities. So we have over 350,000 places you can take your students on. So you're really able to bring the world to your students, especially now. I mean, think how powerful this is, because no one can go anywhere. So being able to have this experience and take students on field trips all over the world, be able to immerse themselves in different situations, historical landmarks. And you'll notice that in all of our lessons that have virtual reality, the virtual reality is always very intentional. So there's always something that they need to observe, something they need to find, something they need to think about, something they need to observe. So there's always some action item, and it's not just thrown in there for the sake of throwing it in there, but there's really a purpose behind all virtual reality that we have in our Nearpod lessons. And you can add them into any lesson that you create from a PowerPoint or from scratch, or any lesson that you customize. So if you find a lesson of ours that doesn't have virtual reality, you can add it right in. So I know we're having fun, but we'll go ahead and move to the next slide. And that's another powerful tool of Nearpod, is that I, as the teacher, have that control. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click the student view on my end, because I just want to show you how to use this tool. So this is called the Draw It activity. This is one of my favorite tools in Nearpod, so you can start playing around with it. You don't necessarily need to answer this question, but I just want to show you how this tool works. So at the bottom of your screen, you have a pen. And so the pen tool, you can change the color, you can change the size of the pen by moving the bar up and down. And then I can draw on the screen here. I'm not a great drawer, as you can see. I also have a highlighter. You can change the color, the size of the highlighter, and I can highlight text. I also have a text box, so I can type my answer. So think of all the learning modalities I already have built into this one activity. So if students like to draw, they can draw. If they like to write, they can write. If they want to type, they can type. I also have an image finder. So I can find an image and add images to express what I've learned. So really hitting all the needs of students based on how they want to express what they've learned, their comfortability level. Thinking of our English learners, how powerful it is for them to be able to use drawing, images, et cetera, to express what they've learned, instead of just in written form, which may be something they're not comfortable with yet. So you have all the different learning modalities, and in addition, you can upload any image or PDF into the background of a Draw It. So you could have a Venn diagram that they have to fill out. It could be another graphic organizer, plant cell, animal cell that they have to label, a map that they have to label. It could be a blank canvas that they're drawing something from scratch. So a lot of different ways that you can utilize this, and then a lot of different learning modalities built in. I wanted to show you another thing. So we do have Immersive Reader built into Nearpod. So this little book with a sound icon is Immersive Reader. So I'll just briefly go over Immersive Reader with you. Keep in mind, you just have to enable this in your settings, and you're able to utilize this with students. They'll see that book with the sound icon when Immersive Reader is enabled for the slide. It will play out the text for them. I also have a lot of extra features, so I'm going to go through these quickly. So I have text preferences, so I can change the text size, I can increase or decrease spacing, I can change the font, I can also change the background color. This little wand is my grammar option, so I can highlight syllables, different parts of speech in different colors. And then I have reading preferences. So I have a line focus, so students can focus at one line at a time, which I think is very beneficial. You also have a picture dictionary, so I can click on a word, and it'll give me a picture that correlates with that word. And then I also have a translator, so I can translate into a wide variety of languages, either by the word or by the document, and then it'll actually play out that passage to me in the language that I chose. So I'm going to click the back arrow and exit out of Immersive Reader, but hopefully you're really excited about Immersive Reader. I'm going to switch into Teacher View. And we're going to see the data that's coming in. So you guys are all making some great drawings. I love how interactive you are with this. And I'm able to see your drawings, and I can see in progress. So I can see as my students are completing. So I'm able to catch common misconceptions early to really redirect my students in real time. But I'm also able to see once they submitted. So I can see, okay, they're still working, or this was their final product. And I can go through and I can click through all of my students' responses and see everything that they have here. Let me find, and I can go ahead and I can share out as well. So on your screen, you are seeing the image that I pushed out from a student's drawing. However, you do not see who did this drawing. So you don't see student names. So I see student names because I'm the teacher. I need to, right? However, you as my student do not see student names. So I can share common misconceptions, common errors in math. I can also share exemplar work. I could share just multiple perspectives. Think of all students in your class that don't like to share out loud, and be able to have everyone have a voice, everyone heard. So we're really elevating student voice. Our English learners, our students with IEPs, our students that are on RTI, those students that just don't have that confidence to speak out loud, but they have great things to contribute to class, and their voice does need to be heard. So we can do that very easily in Nearpod. All right, I know we're having fun with our drawings, but go ahead and move forward. This slide is to just showcase that you can actually add your own audio on any content slide, as well as the majority of our activity slides in Nearpod. So you can actually record your own audio, and you can press play on your end, and students can actually hear your voice. So this is great if you're thinking of doing student-paced lessons and you still want them to hear you talk about what's on the slide. And so you can actually, you don't need to read it word for word, but you can just talk like you normally would in class, and they can actually hear you, and you're still making that personal connection, even when they are not in the same room as you. So just really great thing for distance learning. And we're gonna go ahead and check out the endocrine system. So this is our Nearpod 3D. So we have a lot of different 3D images in Nearpod. So you can click and drag and move this all the way around. You can zoom in, zoom out, just like we were with our virtual reality. And I absolutely love the Nearpod 3D. We have all the body systems, all the planets. We have microscopic things like animal cell, plant cell. We also have things like a hydroelectric dam, different types of animals, Stonehenge, Colosseum. So a lot of great things that you can use with your students. And again, every student has access to this on their device. So you don't need to pass around the one model that you have and have everyone take a turn. Everyone's able to experience it at the same time and really have that hands-on experience in the class. This is a slideshow. So this is showcasing. So if you've probably noticed, right, by this point, when I go to the next slide, you're automatically going to the next slide. However, in a slideshow, when I click on my end, it's actually not syncing on your end. So this is great if you want students to go through information at their own pace. Maybe it's a choice board and they're just going to choose what they want to do. Maybe it's directions and they're going to break out into small group and do something at their own pace. Task cards. So a lot of different ways that you can utilize this, but just keep in mind this will be something at their own pace. All right, this is matching pairs. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click start the activity. You'll have 45 seconds to complete it. You're going to see scrambled cards, and your objective is to match the cards. So click on one of the cards and then click on the other card that matches it. Or it doesn't matter the order, you just click and click, and that's how you'll match them. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click start activity. It's timed. There's going to be a blue arrow on the left-hand side of your screen. Click on that blue arrow to hide the directions so you can see all of the cards. All right, so here, if you haven't got already, so you can click on a card and then click on another card. And then when it's wrong, it just tells you. And then, oops, if it's right, then you just keep going. I'm gonna switch back into teacher view. Awesome, and I can see how many matches, how many tries. So I see 4 matches, and 4 tries means nailed it on the first time. 4 matches, maybe it took 20 tries. That student needs a little extra help, and I know that from my data. Keep in mind, all of this data is also saved in a post-session report that you'll be able to find in your Nearpod account, so you can see it live, but you can also see it in a post-session report at any time. All right, so go ahead and you can answer this question. I have enabled audio recording, so we do have student audio recording now for open-ended questions. So in an open-ended question, you can have students respond by typing, or they can do an audio recording. So you may see on your screen, and it is not available for the app, but you may see record audio, and you can actually record your own audio. So really great for world language teachers, really great for students to just give choice. Also, students have that accommodation. I had a lot of students I worked with. I was a 5th grade teacher, and they had that accommodation that for tests, they actually had to do the test orally instead. So a lot of different ways that you can utilize the open-ended question. So I can go and I can see all my students' responses at a glance. I can see no answer, and I can see once they've submitted to me. I can see a percentage up here of how many, the percentage of students have already submitted. So I won't spend too much time on this one just because we don't have too much time together today. But keep in mind, you do have that share button again, so I can share out student responses just like I did with the drawing activity, and you can see this person also added audio recording, so you would see that play button if they added audio recording, and I just simply click on it and I can play that audio recording out. All right, so in case you guys were wondering, the answer is 20. All right, so now I have a quick quiz for you. So do me a favor and just answer these questions randomly. I just want us to see some realistic data here. I don't necessarily need you to get the questions right. You can just click on random ones. I just want you to see the type of data that you get when you take a quiz on Nearpod. So I absolutely love this. So you can see as you are completing the quiz, I'm able to see how you're doing in the moment. So green is correct, red is incorrect. So I can see at a glance how my students are doing. I can see an overall class average. So I can see 13% correct, 13% incorrect. I know I have a lot of people that still need to answer. I can see individual student score, and I can also see an item analysis. So I can look and I can say, ooh, a lot of people are getting question 2 wrong. Well, what was question 2? So I just have to click on question 2 to remind myself, okay, this was what question 2 was. Down here at the bottom, this is called the scrubber. And I can actually move back and forward at the lesson at any time. So I'm really able to reteach in the moment. I can go back to the slide where we talked about that and talk about it, reteach, or maybe it's a pretest they did really well and I can move forward at any time. So a lot of different ways that I can utilize the quiz. And then my favorite piece is this share button. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and share out. And now on your screen, you're seeing your individual score. So not only as the teacher am I getting real-time data, but my students are getting real-time feedback. Think about how important that is for our students' learning gains, student growth in general. They do not know what they got wrong if they don't get that feedback, right? So they need to know what they got wrong to be able to make those corrections and tighten their skills. All right. I'm going to move forward. I know not everyone answered, but it's okay. So this is just a quick thing to show you. We do have Phet simulations built into Nearpod. You're going to love this. So you can go ahead and play this right now. So you can click on pie chart, bar graph, grid, speed. I like to click on all of them. You can change your mass, your friction. You can go ahead and put the skateboarder on. And as it goes down, you see the difference between kinetic potential in thermal energy. You can change it to slow motion. You can change your variables. You can change your ramp. Try again. So we have a lot of different Phet simulations available in Nearpod. We have them for science and math. For the science ones, we do have lessons built out in the lesson library that follow the 5E model of instruction for K-12. So we do have lessons correlated for kindergarten through 12th grade, organized by grade band. So a lot of great lessons there. And then we also have math simulations. I'm going to show you an example of one of those. And definitely highly suggest playing around with these. The math ones you can add into any lesson you create or customize. We have them available in the Nearpod platform. You would just find on the chart, this is a factor one. So what times what is 16? Find out my chart. Ask me another one if I get it wrong. It just tells me I'm wrong and I just have to try again. And you just keep going. So I know we could probably spend all day playing with this, but just so you can see, some of the math simulations are more gamified, like this one. Some are more just virtual manipulatives to help conceptually understand different math concepts. Especially, I know fractions was a pain point for me teaching 5th grade. So a lot of great ones for fractions to help students really conceptualize fractions. But a ton of them, and we also have Desmos as well for any higher level math teachers. We do have Desmos available as well. All right, so that was just a tiny taste of the learning experience in Nearpod. So I know it was not all the activities we have, nor was it every content option we have, just a small taste. So just from that small little bit, how do you think that Nearpod could make an impact in your classroom, either virtually or once you go back to brick and mortar, or both? So go ahead and share. This is a collaborate board. So on the screen that you have logged into the lesson on, so that might be your phone or your tablet, you can just type in your response. There's also an image finder, and you can find an image and add that. Interactive engagement is the game changer. Wow, I can see how ELLs can benefit from these interactive activities. Absolutely, so many students can. We really believe it's for every learner. I think students will love it, mind blown. More interaction, great way to keep students engaged. The engagement and interaction will have students coming back each day. I love it. I'm so happy to see how excited you are all. This will help my ESL and ESC students tremendously, absolutely. And we keep adding things to really support our English learners and our students with IEPs that need some extra accommodations, great visuals. I think you'll need to play more to answer this question. Absolutely, you will definitely, and you'll have the ability to. You just find on your lunchpad like Dana showed you. I love the group aspects. Kids love it, lots of participation. I think it'd be awesome. And great, if you need more training, we do have 3 webinars daily. We have 5 to 6 a day, and you can find them at nearpod.com/resources. And definitely join more trainings. We would love to have you. To get immediate feedback, I think be engaging, both for virtual and out of the classroom. Great accessibility. Just need time to play. Absolutely. Activities or interaction. Yeah, and this. Students can do this on computers. It doesn't need to be on your phone. I just did it today so I could show you on my screen, but you can use Nearpod on any device. It can be your computer, it could be a tablet, even we have an Xbox app. So really any device a student has, you can use Nearpod on, so they can use it on a bigger screen like their laptop or anything like that. So it does not need to be on a phone for any. Awesome. Really, really excited to hear how excited you are about Nearpod. That makes me really, really happy. Can't wait to share more. I just wanted to share a couple things with you because I was a 5th grade teacher, so I do understand, I don't like to use technology for the sake of using technology. I always needed to have a purpose. So this gives the why a little bit behind Nearpod. So I'm just going to share a couple things with you briefly. This is a slideshow, so you can scroll through it on your own at your own pace. So Nearpod helps us transition from front row seats for a few to front row seats for all. So one of my favorite pieces, and even in virtual classroom, think no matter where students are, have the same lesson for you. Nearpod helps us transition from the same few students participating to all students participating. This is my favorite piece. We've all been there, right? You have students that you have 3, 4, maybe 5 if you're lucky hand raisers. Everyone else is staring at you like you have 4 heads, right? So being able to have all students participate instead of the same few. The front of the room to all parts of the room or no room at all. Again, thinking of that virtual classroom, they can be anywhere and you can still be doing a Nearpod lesson. Nearpod helps us transition from infrequent summative assessment to formative assessment that informs instruction in real time. Nearpod helps us transition from engagement to academic engagement. So everyone was saying engaging in that last piece, right? So we want to keep our students academically engaged. And last but not least, juggling 10 million tabs, indoor materials for differentiation to differentiated learning experience seamlessly integrated into one platform. So you're able to add all sorts of great activities into Nearpod, anything with a website, anything with a URL, you can add into Nearpod as web content. You can upload your PDFs, your PowerPoints, images, anything you're already using, you can put into a Nearpod lesson to keep everything in one place. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to go live in my Nearpod account and show you a few cool things. And then I'll show you a couple more tips and tricks for distance learning, and then we'll wrap up. So I'm going to open up a new tab on my screen. However, you do not need to do this. You can just watch. This obviously is recorded. You can watch it at any time, and we have plenty of resources available for you. But I want to just show you when you get into your Nearpod account, what it will look like, how you would find lessons, add them to your library, and launch them. So when you first log into your Nearpod account, it takes you to what's called My Library. This is any lesson that you've added from our Nearpod lesson library or that you've created. So when you first log in, you may not see anything, and that's okay. So here I have all of my lessons, I have folders, etc. On the sidebar, this is what I call the navigation to the world, right? So this is where you would get to anything Nearpod. So Nearpod lesson library, that's going to be your gold spot. That's where you're going to find all those pre-created lessons that are standards aligned for your students to use. My library, again, would be any lesson that you've created. You cannot launch a lesson with students unless you've had it to your library. So it can be from our Nearpod lesson library, but it has to be added to your library. Also supplemental curriculum, and then reports. So that anytime you need to access your reports, and then teacher resources, FAQ, and what's new. So this will always be on your sidebar here. You sometimes need to scroll down to see everything. I'm going to show you now how to search for lessons. So on the sidebar, this is Nearpod lesson library. So I'm going to click on that. And this is taking you to our library. So we have, again, over 7,500 pre-made lessons. I don't suggest finding lessons by clicking on these subjects because these are only the top lessons. They are not all of the lessons we have. I do like to highlight by publisher because we partner with some great publishers. The Phet simulations that I showed you, fantastic. ReadWorks is popular, LearnZillion, iCivics for civics teachers. We also have Lifelike for science, Breaking the Barrier for world language. Cricket Media, great lessons, K5, Lexile leveled lessons. But my favorite way to find lessons is to just search by the topic that I'm teaching. So at the top here, I can search main idea. And I'm going to see all the lessons that we have that align to main idea. But I'm seeing so many lessons and all sorts of grade levels. So I need to filter on the side. So I consider this like Amazon, right? So you're going to search for what you need, and on the side, you're going to filter down. So I want to click English Language Arts because I want to make sure it's English Language Arts lesson. I taught 5th grade, but sometimes 4th grade lessons work, sometimes 6th grade, so you can pick multiple grades. I never suggest the resource type. I just find that I find what I need better when I don't filter down the resource type. That's just my personal preference. But now I see all the lessons aligned to main idea for the grade levels I chose. And I can go ahead and I can click on one of the lessons. This looks interesting. and I will be able to preview the entire lesson. I will see this how a student would see it. So I see all the activities that the students would see, all the content, etc. And this is where I could add it to my library. So I can see once this loads, everyone's probably experiencing internet slowness these days. You can click preview, and you just can preview the entire lesson from what students would see. And then when you're ready, when you're like, I think I like this lesson, you just simply click add to my library. Simple as that. I just click the back arrow in my browser to go back to my search. I'm going to exit out of my search here. And I just want to highlight that you can also search by standard. So up here where it says standards, you just would click select a standard or state. You would find Florida. And then you would pick on your subject area, your grade level. All the strands will populate. And then you would click on all strands to see all of the strands that we have lessons for. You pick the lesson that you would like. And then you'll find all the lessons that align to that particular standard for your grade level. Easy as that. So I'm going to go click on the home button. So anytime I want to go to my library, I click on home. This is where you get the navigation to the world and all your lessons. So once you want to launch a lesson, you need to be in my library. So you would hover, you go to the lesson that you would like, you would hover over with your mouse or trackpad, and you would choose either a live lesson or student pace. So remember, a live lesson is what we were doing together today. When I went to the next slide, you went to the next slide. Student paced is exactly what it sounds like. Students are going to go through the lesson at their own pace. So I'm going to go ahead and click on student paced. And remember what we did today. We went to join.nearpod.com and entered in a code. So that's one way students can join. Another way students can join is you can link it to Google Classroom. We also have a Google Classroom Chrome extension that you can actually add Nearpod lessons right when you're in Google Classroom and organizing yourself for the day or the week. You can also grab a link and you can paste the link. So if you use Class Dojo or something like that, and that's how you're getting information out to students, you can always link it to whatever you're using. As long as it will allow you to paste a link, you're good to go. Of course, there's other options here, but those are probably the main ones you'll want. You can change the day, the amount of days that it's remaining, and you can also view students' progress as they're completing a student pace activity. And the same thing with a live lesson. The same thing you'll get a code. It's going to be the same thing like we did today. It's going to give you a code. You'll again have an option for the link and Google Classroom. And I know a lot of resources have been shared in the chat, so definitely be able to get those resources. You can always find more information on our YouTube site or Vimeo site, on our website. So many resources for you to have. All right, and then the last thing I want to just show you on my Nearpod account is reports. So in your reports, at the bottom here, you'd simply click reports. You might have to scroll down. And this will take you to all the lessons you've launched with students. Okay, keep in mind students do not have accounts. They're accessing either through the code or the link. On the Nearpod lesson that you've logged into, I have gone to different sites. So here, you would just click on the lesson that you've joined, click on the session, and you'll be able to see all of the student data, their participation score, their quiz score, and you're also able to download reports as well. Okay, so you can download session view or student view of either a PDF or a CSV, that's spreadsheet. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click back on my library. And I just want to show you quickly that you can create and edit lessons as well. So if you want to edit a lesson, you simply hover over and click edit. We also have an option to create in Google Slides in a lesson in Nearpod if you're building from scratch or from a PowerPoint or Google Slides. I'm just going to hover over and click edit briefly to just show you this. I'm going to click edit. And this will take you to the Nearpod Create Center. And from here, this is going to look similar if you're creating a lesson in Nearpod, or if you are editing a lesson, you can click and drag and move slides around. If you ever want to upload anything, you would just click upload files. That's where you can upload your PowerPoints, PDFs, etc. And I can click add slide, add content, and I can see all the different content options. I can add web content, that's a URL, and I can also add an activity. So a lot of different activities here that I can add into my Nearpod lesson. All right, so I wish I had more time to show you creating and editing, but definitely join our webinar called Planning for Distance Learning Made Easier. If you want to delve deeper into creating and editing in Nearpod, that's the webinar that we have, nearpod.com/resources, if you want to learn to create and edit. So I'm going back into my Nearpod account now. My Nearpod lesson, I'm sorry. And I'm just going to go through a couple more things quickly. So you can deliver a Nearpod lesson live through distance learning. This would just be through video conferencing. So I know you probably use Google Meet, and you can use that and facilitate your Nearpod lessons live. Of course, if you can, always suggest to record the session so students can view it later in case they lose power, lose Wi-Fi access, etc., or if they just want an extra practice. Tips for self-paced learning. Obviously, you want to make sure you know we're going to send this. So if you're using Google Classroom, definitely put your Nearpod lessons on Google Classroom, or if you need to grab the link and add it somewhere else. Always great to add the personalized audio as well. I'm just going to go ahead and move forward here. This is a video for how students use Nearpod. So this will be in your notes, and it'll also be in the student piece lesson that I'll share at the end here. And you can always access it there. All right. I don't know if we have time for Time to Climb, but it's really fun. So let's try to do this really quick. So I'm going to click continue. Go ahead, pick your character and click start. You're going to really love this. So we're going to test what we know. All right. I'm just going to give you a countdown. Make sure to click start on your end. And we're just going to go and play this fun game. Click start on your screen. And this is our gamified quiz called Time to Climb. So just have fun. Do the best you can. All right, so I know we're having fun, but we're running out of time, but you get the idea of this game. I'm going to just move forward, but it's our gamified quiz. If you've played Kahoot quizzes, very similar, but a lot more fun for students. I'm just going to go through a few slides so you have these resources in your notes. Just remember to practice. We're here for you. We're going to support you throughout whatever you need. Practice, you're not going to break anything, okay? Challenge yourself to just try, right? And then I just have some more resources for you in this presentation. A lot of people are interested in Nearpod Google Classroom, so I have resources that'll be in your notes as well as in the self-paced lesson that I'll give you the code for in just a second here. But all that will be in your notes. So I know I'm just going through them, but just so they'll be in your notes. For Zoom, this is our Nearpod coronavirus landing page, so you can find our resource site that has fantastic information. I'll leave this up for any questions, and then I'm just going to pop up the student pace code here. And then Dana, if you have anything else you need to add, I know we're at 12:15. I'm sorry that I went so to the end of time. There was just so much that I wanted to share.
Thank you so much, Emily. The teachers I saw in the chat are just absolutely so excited about all of the different interactive elements of the Nearpod lesson and how it could be teacher-paced or student-paced. And if you're doing it synchronously or asynchronously and getting that data right on the spot, it's just amazing. So I know we're running short on time. I do want to mention that we will have additional resources on the EdTech Training website at edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. And we're going to have links there to Nearpod's Resource Center as well. We have a full day of professional learning going on. If you missed our webinar this morning on Minecraft, it was recorded and will be posted on our website along with the YouTube channel. This Nearpod session will be posted as well. And you might want to join us this afternoon at 2:30. We're hosting another guest speaker, the authors of the Google Infused Classroom, to share some tips and tricks and best practices of how to use Google Infused applications for your virtual learning. On Friday, we're having a special panel of media specialists to share some strategies for virtual learning, along with a special panel from SMART to smartify your classroom. If you need any additional assistance, please fill out this form. It is case sensitive, bit.ly, help form edtech. This will help us know what your needs are, and someone from our team will reach out to you if you need assistance. Again, please fill out the form at this link. And on behalf of Emily and myself, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate everything that you're doing. You can reach out to us through email or through Twitter. I know a lot of people in the chat were asking about the district access for Nearpod. Please keep in mind, this was just turned on about an hour before the webinar. So give it about 48 hours for your district portal tile to show. Try logging out and logging back in, and that should work. And if you don't have it by, let's say, Friday, today is Wednesday. If you don't have it by Friday, then you can email me at dana.rubenstein@palmbeachschools.org. And Emily, would you like any closing notes?
Just thank you so much. Give yourselves a pat on the back for just being here and trying something new. You are all doing amazing. Being thrown into distance learning is not easy. So just give yourself some grace, give yourselves a pat on the back. You're doing fantastic. And I know your students appreciate you. And have a great rest of your day and week.
Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful day, and we hope to see you at future webinars.